Thank you. Wow. A
Thanks,
microphone.
baby. You do great.
Thanks, honey. Thanks. Hi, everybody. How's it going? Okay, first, it has been a couple of minutes since I spoke to a room full of people. It's been actually a couple of minutes since I spoke to more than like 3 people at a time because the pandemic was weird and I'm still kind of like sucked into the weirdness. So I'm a little nervous. I wanted to share that because I don't want everyone to think I'm up here like as this super cool, calm person who has their life together. I'm just a nervous person who does not have their life together. So, I'm Carrie Brooke. I have been on a journey, and I bet every person in this room has been on a journey and is continuing with whatever journey they're on. I felt very tempted to say something about the band journey. It was suggested I put a slide in the last scene of The Sopranos. Lots of journey-based suggestions, but I decided I'm not going to do that. So go ahead and sing whatever journey song you want to sing in your mind right now. Cool, that's the soundtrack. All right. You want to go on a journey with me, Carrie Brooke? Okay, let's journey. Am I doing this? See, I guess we didn't rehearse the click. Oh, hey, look, it's me, Carrie Brooke. Hi. We're all on a journey. We've discussed that. It's also me. So part of my journey, and I'll get into it, is that I have lived my entire 51 years defining myself by my job title, my relationship status, all of these external things. And it's only been maybe in the last year that I'm like, wait a minute, what if I took all of the external factors out and just kind of thought about like, who is I? Who is I? I is a human woman. This is true. I'm embracing my weird after so much time trying to mask it and be a person that I thought everybody wanted me to be, and I'm sure some of you are familiar with that. I am fully leaning into the weird. I am obsessed with music. I am in recovery from alcohol, 7 years as of January 10th. Woo! Yeah, that's like, I'm super proud of that. Always aspiring to be kind and empathetic, but sometimes I'm kind of a shady bitch. No kidding. I'm pretty sleepy and achy. I don't know if that's age or health or just like that's just, that's the era we're living through. I'm often anxious, including right now, and I'm always snacky. So thanks for the snacks. They're delish. Achievements, because everyone wants to talk about all the things they've accomplished. So I'm gonna get that out of the way because my journey, like I said, it's led me to go inward. And I don't want, I'm prefacing, I do not want to sound cheesy. I am not here to, this is not an MLM scheme. I'm not gonna try to sign you up for anything. I believe in all of you. But I should talk about the things I've done. So I am the mother to 2 adult daughters. They're my best friends in the world. Lola is 27 and lives in LA. Stella is 24 and lives in Pittsburgh. She has also made me a grandmother. I am Gaia to a 16-month-old toddler named Jane, and she's perfect, and I'm obsessed. I'm a sister and a daughter, an ex-wife, and a girlfriend, and a friend to many, including cats and dogs, but probably not reptiles. My professional stuff, I was the first Philly community manager for Yelp and Google. I've been a writer. I've been a creative recruiter, director of talent, professional coach, chief operating officer. I was a VP of product. I should have put that in there, I guess. That was cool. And then personal, like I mentioned, I'm 7 years sober from alcohol. I have dealt with depression and anxiety since I was like this large. Chronic overthinker. I have a vast fear of judgment, so way to go me standing up in front of a room full of people. I'm also ambitious and goal-oriented. I'm a INFJ Capricorn, if that means anything to you. So, blessing and a curse. And I'm always thinking about what comes next, except right now. What's next? Oh, hey, this is me being vulnerable. I realized recently that my biggest fear, underneath all of the other things, the fear of judgment, the blah, 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 is that I have always had a fear of being average. Ever since I was a little kid, that was there. And I knew that I was destined for something bigger, but I didn't know what it was, and I had no idea how I was going to get there. So let's go back to where it all started. A misunderstood Southern girl. That's me. So I grew up in Kentucky and North Carolina. I don't know if you can see on the map. Somerset, Kentucky, is where I grew up. It is not near any metropolitan area. We had, I don't know, I think I went to the mall in Lexington, and that was like a big deal to go to the mall. In North Carolina, where I went to high school in my first year of college, I grew up in Morganton, which is in the western part of the state. They were vastly affected by the weather and the hurricane and the floods, so love to western North Carolina. But the biggest city was Hickory. If anyone knows Hickory, North Carolina, furniture is made there, and they also had a mall, and that was a big deal. Malls in the 80s, very big deal. So I did not come from a place where I really felt like I saw myself. I grew up and was exposed to some really wonderful people, really beautiful traditions, all of that stuff, but I never felt like I fit in. So ever since I was like a little kid, I always felt different. I felt like I was looking for my people. I got a little older, maybe, adolescence, and these were my role models. We have Anne Sexton. We also have Sylvia Plath. Do you see where this is going? We have Kim Gordon, because damn, she's badass. And Jane Pratt, the editor of Sassy magazine, who's gone on to do a bunch of different things. But these were the people that I saw in the world that I felt something from their work, from their contributions, from their existence. Hey, that's me. I think I was 16 in that picture. These were the things that kind of influenced me growing up. So again, this is me, a young girl in Somerset, Kentucky, 1985, 6. I was really into Studio 54. That was not something you saw a lot in Somerset, Kentucky. REM, 120 Minutes, supermodels of the 90s, because they looked like they were having so much fun. Sassy magazine, Grateful Dead shows. The first place I got my nose pierced was the parking lot of a Grateful Dead concert. Fun fact, never seen my dad that angry, and I probably never will again. Sid and Nancy, which I saw way too young. The Go-Go's Beauty and the Beat, the first album I ever bought with my own money. And Thrasher magazine. So because these things existed, specifically 120 Minutes in Sassy and Thrasher, that's where I saw myself. I'm like, okay, there are other people out there, and I don't know where they are, but I'm gonna find them someday. So that's me, on my way. Literally, the car is packed. You can see how packed it is. That's me moving to New York when I was 19. I moved with my then boyfriend, who became my husband. I went to FIT. He went to SVA. I was ready to find my community, find a way to feel less apart. Then I did some grown-up stuff. Look at that. Look, who is that? Do you ever look at pictures of yourself and you're like, who is that? I feel like it's a book I read, and I'm like, I had some kids. They're awesome. Now they're big, as I talked about. But look, they used to be little. Back here, this is when we moved to Philadelphia. I'm a stay-home mom. And this is when it really started to dawn on me. I was building this life, this really wonderful, beautiful life. And if y'all know Talking Heads, this is not my beautiful house. This is not my beautiful wife. I felt like I'm living this life that's great, and it's what we're supposed to aspire to, right? You grow up, you go to school, you get married, you have kids, you buy a house, all these things that we're told that we do. And I'm doing them, and I'm just like, ugh, something feels off. So I went and got myself an eating disorder. Fun. It's okay. I'm good now, everybody. But I have always been very, very adamant that I wanted to share my struggles with people. I didn't want the things I went through to be for nothing. And, you know, it sounds cliche, but if I can help one other person, if I can say one thing that speaks to anybody in this room, anybody in the world, then maybe what I went through was not so bad, right? So I'm going through all this stuff. I'm feeling like guilty because I have the things that most people dream of, and it didn't feel enough, and I felt ungrateful, and I felt like a jerk. It was not my finest moment. I felt different. I felt apart again. So this is the era where things really started to get interesting. Dave, do you remember that party? Yes, I believe this. We also go way back. So I mentioned in the slides, I was the first community manager for Yelp. Really awesome, fun job. It was the early days. It was kind of like the Wild West, right? Am I right? There was a lot of partying. It was a very social job. I was the only community manager in the company that was married with children. I think I was the oldest. And I got married when I was 21. I had my first daughter when I was 24. So for better or for worse, this was my adolescence. Not a great combo when you are a mom to 2 young children living in the suburbs. It was just, I liked this, but I felt like the timing was all wrong. Again, I felt like I was doing it wrong. Like I was supposed to be on this track. I was supposed to feel a certain way, and I didn't. You can see where this is going, right? This was me back in the day. I was living my adolescence as a 33-year-old. This is when I kind of was like, what am I doing? What am I doing with my life? This doesn't feel good, but I don't know what else to do. So I started to really focus on my career. I left Yelp. I was with Google for a while. When I got the job at Google as the Philly community manager, I thought, this is it. This is great. This is the dream, right? Who doesn't want to work for Google? Within a couple of weeks, I was like, oh my God, I've made a terrible mistake. This isn't for me. And if the dream job isn't for me, what am I supposed to do with my life? I had a friend who worked for a creative recruiting agency. He said, we're looking for a recruiter. I knew that space. I started out as a copywriter at Chiat Day in New York. I came through in PR, community management. So agency world and startup is where I come from. I loved recruiting. And I don't know if I probably interviewed some of you in this room. It was the first time I felt like I was really good at my job. And I thought, okay, great, I'm here, I found it. I found the thing I'm gonna do. I got promoted, I got out of the recruiting agency world, and I went in-house to an agency. I'm gonna take a sip of water. Hydration break. I went in-house as director of talent. I was at 160/90. I went to a few other agencies. I started to do training, development, workshops, things like that. I was on the founding starting board of Disrupt HR Philadelphia. So I got to work with some really great people, learned a lot, met some amazingly talented, creative people, and really started to feel like, okay, career, I got it, it's happening. Now I'm gonna be the best. Does anyone else have that perfectionism thing? You can't just do it and enjoy it, right? You gotta do it and be the best, because that is no pressure at all, right? That's super chill. I wanted to be the best. I wanted to be the top. I wanted to, I wanted, and then I felt guilty for wanting. So it's like I felt like I couldn't win. Everything I did, I felt like I was doing it wrong. And every person I looked at around me, they seemed like so chill, like they knew exactly what they were doing. And I never, ever, ever felt like I knew what I was doing. Spoiler alert, I still don't. So I'm working. I'm miserable. I leave my job. I immediately get sick and land in the hospital with diverticulitis. Has anyone had that? Does anyone know? Yeah, boo, right? Boo. I was in the ER. I came home. I'm single. I had bought a house, like all the things. And I think some of the residual pain medication might have still been with me because I was like, I'm going to book a solo trip for the first time in my life. I'd never traveled. So I decided I'm going to travel. I'm going to do all the things that I haven't been doing because I've been waiting for the right time, the right person, enough money, enough PTO, whatever it is. I'm putting my life on hold for the things that I want to get. Like everything is about achieve. I go to Sedona. Has anyone been to Sedona? Yes, magical, right? It's highly recommend. There are energy vortexes, if that's your jam. I remember I scampered up a mountain. I'm meditating. Yes, I'm that person. I had my tarot cards and my crystals because that was gonna somehow give me all the answers. It just kind of weighed me down on the climb up, to be honest. But when I got there, I'm up there, I'm saying, okay, I left my job. I knew I was gonna start something. I didn't want to be a recruiter anymore, but I knew that. I was really good at it. That was my network. And so for the first time in my life, I said, I wonder what happens if I just wing it. That is terrifying when you don't, and at this point I'm 38, 39, 40, I don't know, I'm somewhere. I just said, I'm going to trust that it's going to work out. I don't know how, I'm going to trust. When I was on that mountain, I also had the revelation that I needed to stop drinking. I didn't have a rock bottom moment. Nothing traumatic happened. It was just one of those things where I felt very aware that if I kept doing what I was doing, something bad was going to happen. And at this point, I'm going to launch my own thing. I can't afford to act a fool. I can't afford to mess it up. Personally, professionally, spiritually, all that stuff. So I set a plan to stop drinking the day after my birthday. This is like 6 weeks in advance because that's very me. Well, it's going to be Thanksgiving, and then it's Christmas, and then it's New Year's, and then my friend Steve is throwing me a karaoke birthday party. I'm like, I can't sing karaoke unless I have some beverages, and then it's my birthday, so I've got to. So I said, okay, my birthday's January 9th, January 10th, that's it. And I did that. I put a drink down at midnight on January 10th, and that is the photo I took when I woke up the next day. That is a person who is scared shitless because I had been in jobs and friendships, I think like we all are, where everything revolves around, let's get drinks, happy hour, let's network, we're gonna have drinks. And I thought, if I don't drink, I'm not gonna have fun, people aren't gonna like me, they're gonna think I'm weird, they're gonna think I had this awful problem. I thought my life is kind of over as I knew it. Like the fun was gonna stop. So that is a person who knows she's doing the right thing, but is scared to death. And I got up and went to an AA meeting. So thanks to the fine people of AA. This is your PSA. Then, after about 3 months, I realized that fun didn't have to stop. The first show I went to sober was Not a Surf. Who knows Not a Surf? Yes, great band, highly recommend. They played Let Go, this album that just gets me right in the heart. They played that in its entirety at World Cafe Live, and I got to meet Matthew Cause, and he signed the print. It's hanging in my house. It's super special to me. And I'm like, okay, great, I did a thing. I did the thing for the first time. That was go to a show sober. Awesome. That means I can do it again, because I survived, right? I can do it again. I started speaking publicly, like I'm doing right now. I got on a stage with nothing in my system. That had never been done by this human woman before. That was a moment of such pride for me. I got accepted to speak at the Pennsylvania Conference for Women. It was a big deal. There were hundreds and hundreds of people in the room, and And I started to feel like I was meeting myself. Like, okay, maybe it's going to be okay. Maybe you've got this. I made a vision board, y'all. Vision board. That has now become a New Year's Eve tradition, except now I go see fish on New Year's Eve. So we'll hear more about that later. And I started doing all of these things. I launched Mixtape Talent, which is my HR consulting and coaching business. I work with creatives, creative souls, so it doesn't have to, you don't have to be in a specifically creative role, because as we're discovering, what we do, what our title is, doesn't have to define us. There are all these other things in our lives. And what I've discovered from my travel, I went to Jackson Hole and Tetons and Yellowstone. I went to Bali and Tokyo and retreats, and I got my Reiki certification, level 2, healing hands. I started to realize that what I did for a living was the least interesting thing about me. And going to all these places and meeting people from outside of my bubble, I started to realize that, especially outside of the US, that question doesn't really come up. It's the first thing we ask. Meet somebody, and I don't know, if we're just wired for that, or if it's, just general small talk. But what do you do? And I found that when I was traveling, that wasn't even coming up, which was really cool because, again, I had defined myself by these titles, these external titles, my entire life. I was freelancing, I was working with great clients, I leave my consulting business, still coaching, and I go in-house for one of my clients. And then the pandemic happened. It's like, I think we probably all felt like at that time, like we can't catch a break. Everything's upside down, everything's weird, everything I thought I was gonna do, I wasn't doing anymore. So I got laid off. I was in a relationship that was not good. And to stay sober during the pandemic is a gigantic achievement. I got my yoga teacher certification after practicing for like 20 years. I went to the Virgin Islands, and I think I had a nervous breakdown on a deck overlooking the ocean, actually right there. And I had a realization that, like, if I'm going to live the kind of life I want, it is up to me to do that. And so I kept doing it. Hey, then I landed in the hospital. I'm like, ready to go, all like fired up. I land in the hospital, diverticulitis again. This time, I'm there for 5 days. I come out and I'm like, girl, put your wig on straight and get it figured out. Like, again, the pressure. I did an ayahuasca ceremony. It changed everything. It kind of did. I know it sounds cliche. But it kind of woke some things up in me. I got a call from my friend Chris Wink. I don't know if y'all know him, and technically, highly recommend, check them out. News for entrepreneurs and technologists, we love them. I consulted, went on to become VP of product, wanted to get back into the operations world. So after, I'm missing kind of my HR people ops role, VP of ops, and then became chief operating officer. Congratulations, Carrie, you did it. You reached the highest job. Okay, now what? You've got to be kidding. This is like, again, I get sick. Again, I'm used to being healthy, and so all of a sudden it's like boom, boom, boom. This time it's long COVID. I got COVID 3 times. The 3rd time knocked me on my ass. Diagnosed with long COVID, fibromyalgia, and chronic fatigue. And now my brain doesn't work. My body is not cooperating with me. This body that used to be able to climb mountains can't get off the sofa. I'm sleeping for like 17 hours a day. I can't remember words. It just like, I felt like every time I would hit what I wanted to hit, I'd get knocked down again. But I became a grandmother. I got to be there when Jane was born. That was minutes after she was born. Like, I'm gonna cry just looking at that. I'm not gonna look at that. That was me, diagnosed with long COVID. That is the face of a person who is like, well, I'm all out of ideas now. I reached the highest job. Now I can't do my job because my brain doesn't work. So I left, technically. That was in August of 2024. I've taken time off. I am currently not doing anything professionally. So getting up here and talking to y'all, this is like me getting back in the game. I'm back in the game. Thank you for helping me get back in the game, y'all. I discovered fish. I loved them. I loved the dead growing up. Fish, not so much. But I got into fish thanks to my friend Sam Markowitz at Technically, who brought me to a show, and now it is like going to fish is like what I imagine going to church is like for people. I'm obsessed with subcultures. I'm obsessed with weirdness. And you want to see some subculture and weirdness, go to a fish show. Amazing. Best people watching you'll ever see. So I started going out. I started dancing. I started not apologizing for liking things like fish. I used to apologize for that. I left a relationship over the summer. I just bought a place in Fishtown. That picture is me in the elevator going up to my new condo. Like, that's still so weird to say. I never thought I would get the chance to do that. If I had followed the path that I was on originally, I would be living in the suburbs. I would, I don't know what I would be doing. And all of that stuff is great. It's wonderful. It's beautiful. And I'm so grateful that I had that. But it wasn't my journey. Now I'm doing these things that I never thought I'd get the chance to do. It's terrifying. It's exhilarating. It's a little crazy. It's surreal. But for the first time in my life, I am not defined by any external labels. When people ask me, what do you do? I say, I'm a leisurist. I think bringing a little leisure into our lives is very 2025, so highly recommend. I don't know what I'm going to do next. I don't know. Will I coach? Will I consult? I don't think I'm going to go back and work in an office. That doesn't seem like my vibe now. But yeah, it's the first time in my life I feel like that I don't know what happens next. I don't have a plan. And to be on a journey without a plan for the first time in your 50s is fucking bonkers. But it's right. It's where I'm supposed to be right now. So I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know. And so maybe this is, if anyone in this room or anywhere else needs to hear this, it is okay if you don't know what you're doing. As JG mentioned, I've had many jobs, many jobs. I tell my daughters, I tell my friends, I tell my clients, I tell the people I'm interviewing, if you're doing something, like, try it. If you like it, keep doing it. If you don't, try something new. It is okay to not have your life mapped out. When I was 22 years old, I had it all mapped out. I could tell you, I'm pretty sure I was like, and I'm going to die on this date in this way, and my funeral, they'll play this music. I thought I had it all figured out. None of it went that way. So yeah, this is where I leave you. I have no idea what I'm doing. This is probably the most exciting part of my journey that I've been on. I feel brave. I feel confident. I feel strong. I used to say those things because, that's what the books and the coaches and the Instagrams and the TikToks tell you. I didn't believe it. I didn't believe I was those things. I wanted to be those things, and I didn't know how to be those things. And I realized that for me, letting go and just surrounding yourself with smart people, making sure you have great resources, whether that's healthcare, mental health, spiritual, if that's your thing, professional, if that's your thing. Surround yourself with goodness. Surround yourself with laughter and smiles and music, and don't be afraid to ask for help when you need it. It took me a long time to learn that too, but yeah, I have no idea what I'm doing, and maybe you don't either, and that's the journey. Thanks.